Hello everybody, you're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain. This is the weekly radio show where we chat about the local arts news. We have a different guest on each week. We head over to the Rhylight Zone for a short story and or some poetry. We catch up with Twangling Jack Ford in the Ilkshed for a weekly album review. We play local unsigned and or independent music. And we have a different guest on, which I think I already said. As always, you can reach out to me here at the studio by dropping me an email on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. I'm particularly keen to hear from poets, performers, musicians, people with MP3s, people with local arts news, anyone who thinks they would make a good guest or who has stuff to share. Don't hesitate to get in touch. You can also find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And we are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So this week we're going to be chatting to Councillor Annie Baughan, but before we do that, we are going to head over to the Rhylight Zone for the latest part of Black Solstice by myself, Dane Cobain. This is a Christmas-themed horror story that has been anthologised several times, and you can find it in my collection, Scarlet Sins, on Amazon. Cheeky plug. He's making a list, he's checking it twice. Satan Claus is coming to town. John Reed woke up with a start as something primal took over him. He was a fully grown adult with 31 winters behind him, but there was something about the old traditions that still held sway over him. He could remember a time in his own childhood when John Sr. had taken the boy on his knee and given him the talk. "Son," he'd said, "I think you're old enough now to know what's what. We maintain the old traditions because there's often a grain of truth to them. They say it's better to be safe than sorry, you see. Now, the winter is a dark and unpleasant time, a time that's full of dangers and where the elements themselves turn against us. Might be that there is a Satan Claus and that the legends are true. Might be that there isn't. But if what they say is true and he's the Antichrist, the Prince of Darkness, well, maybe it's better to take the superstition seriously just in case, eh?" That was the solstice when John Reed had stayed up all night, his eyes darting frantically from shadow to shadow, convinced that Satan Claus would sweep in at any moment and rip him apart. Once the sun had finally crept over the horizon, he'd passed out and caught an hour or two of sleep before being woken back up for the celebrations. He'd spent most of solstice day dozing off over the dinner table and waking back every time his chin dipped into the gravy. Satan Claus hadn't come to visit that year, and nor had he come the year after. In fact, Satan Claus never came for John Reed, but the name alone was still enough to send shivers down his spine. He heard a creak on the landing, but the house was old and had a habit of singing to itself. He extricated himself from his wife's arms and rolled over onto his side, then folded his pillow in half and rested his head on the cool fabric. His ears twitched as he listened to the darkness, but there was nothing but a sleepy silence, a treacle-like emptiness that filled his ears like a spoonful of honey. Then he closed his eyes again and tried to catch some sleep. Does he ride a red-nosed hellhound? Are there weapons on his sleigh? Slade. The two girls were still awake and still terrified. Jessie was the older of the two by an hour, and so she was the de facto leader of the Reed twins. She was the first out of bed, and she used the glow of the nightlight to climb down from her bunk and onto the hardwood floor. The snow outside was still falling, piling up against the concrete walls and chilling the house beneath a wintry blanket. It had seeped through into the floor, and it chilled her feet as she navigated across to the dresser and picked up the rosaries, which lay incongruously amongst a pile of stuffed toys and collectibles. She placed one around her neck and one around her sister's. They worked in silence, their ears tensed as they listened out for sounds from elsewhere in the house. Next, the two girls scattered seeds and rice across the floor, upending jars and wrenching open plastic packaging until the wood was covered with kernels and grains. Anne Welsh from their maths class had told them that vampires are obsessed with numbers, and that once he saw the scattered seeds, Satan Claus would have to stop and count them. If they kept him busy for long enough, the sun would rise and he'd be killed by the light. They didn't know whether they believed that, but they'd done it anyway. Susie Reed, no relation, from the year below, had told them that Satan Claus had a legion of minions made up of some of the vilest people from history. Vlad the Impaler was the obvious one, the fierce Wallachian who'd earned his nickname by impaling his enemies on wooden stakes and leaving them there to die. According to Susie, Vlad used to eat bread that had been dipped in his victims' blood while he watched them die. Then there was Mike Austin, Lucy Austin's older brother. He told his sister, who told the rest of her class, about Countess Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian heiress with the blood of dozens of enemies on her hands, as well as her lips and tongue. According to the Austins, Bathory had them brought to her so she could bite them. After they died, she'd have her servants drain their blood before pouring it into a bathtub. Mike Austin said that was because bath bombs hadn't been invented yet. Stavros said they were called Virkolikas, but Besnik called them Striga, and Ansa said they were Strigoi. Mr. Ricard, the substitute teacher who was presiding over the class at the time, said it was all just a matter of semantics. "Do you know how to stop a Strigoi?" Mr. Ricard had asked. He'd looked out at the sea of interested little faces inside. When no one answered, he'd continued. They used to bury corpses upside down and put scythes and sickles in the grave. It was said that if the body bloated before becoming a fully fledged vampire, the sickle would prick them and put them back down again. As for Vicolakas, the best option is to leave a coin in their mouths so that they can pay the ferryman at the river Styx. If they can't cross the river, they come back to feast on flesh. Then he'd remembered he was supposed to be teaching geography and had moved on to talking about continental drift. But all that had been during a happier time, during the summer months when the coming of the vampire was a distant shadow of the future and not an immediate threat to their survival. That had been then, and this was now, on Solstice Eve, the hunting night of the vampires. The two Reed girls were as ready as they'd ever be. They just didn't know if they were ready enough. They closed their eyes and bowed their heads, and then Jude led them in a prayer. "Dear baby Jesus," Jude intoned solemnly, "please keep us safe from Satan Claus, or better still, send us a sign that he doesn't exist." But no such sign was forthcoming. That was the latest instalment of Black Solstice by myself, Dane Cobain. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. That was Get 'Em Up Joe by Straight A. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to be joined in conversation now by this week's guest, who is Councillor Annie Baughan. Okay, so the first question is one that I ask everybody, which is, what was the last book that you read and what did you think of it?
Oh, crikey. I'm a bit of a dipper in and outer. The last book I read was, I'm just looking at the bedside cabinet. It was either a techie book about breastfeeding, or it was one of Anne of Cleves Shetland novels.
Okay, and I mean, obviously, I guess a good place to start would be if you sort of, I guess, introduce your political career, because so you were mayor of High Wycombe, right? And then I guess do you serve as a councillor?
we've got a good group of Wickham councillors who obviously do our best to help people. And I was very honoured to be the mayor in 2021, which was a weird time because we were coming out of lockdown. So it was kind of really good because there was so much going on, but obviously we still had to be careful about what we were doing and how we were doing it, because we were still looking at numbers and infection rates. Yeah, no, it was wonderful serving as a mayor, and I was greatly honoured. And obviously our current mayor is Paul, who's brilliant as well. And yeah, really nice group of people working together in Wickham on the council, I would say.
Awesome. And I suppose there was extra pressure on you as well, again, because of COVID, to to set a good example as somebody in public office.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all make mistakes. That I mean, I'm sure there's times that I went out either without a mask on or with a, not well, try and wash my hands properly anyway, because we do get our training at work. We have our hand hygiene. Bit funny actually, because you go and wash your hands and you think you've washed your hands, and then you get this gel spray squirted on your hands, and it shows you all the dirt that you've left behind. So if you haven't washed your hands properly, it kind of shows up all your mucky bits. But yeah, I think you do what you do, and I think people were pretty sensible generally, being very considerate. There was lots going on locally. There was lots of support for good neighbours. There were lots of schemes popping up to help people deliver food. I think, like any situation, we're only human. We do, in the main part, people kind of do what they can do. Really, they can't. It was an unparalleled event, lockdown, and I mean, I was really, really quite lucky actually, because I carried on working, and because I worked for the NHS, I was kind of, people kept giving us cakes and stuff, which is really nice. So I was quite lucky and I did get COVID. I got it in March 2022, just coming up to the end of my mayoral year. I didn't have it too badly. I felt reasonably okay. It was a lot easier for me than it had been for other people. People who are very ill, who've got long COVID, who lost their lives.
You mentioned there kind of the community aspect of things, and I wondered, like, what are some of the, because you've been quite involved in the community in High Wycombe, and there's obviously communities within communities. There's the art scene, the music scene. What are some of the different sort of community aspects of Wycombe life that you get involved in the most?
Oh gosh. Well, anything that involves music, anything that involves art, I'm always up for. I think we've got a brilliant art and music scene. A lot of the local bands do gigs for charities, do gigs for the Mayor's Appeal. At the Arts Centre now, there's some events and music going on that's free of charge, and I just think life is really tough. We've got major crises with health, with cost of living.
Talking about the music scene, one of the things I wanted to ask is, you had an official mayoral punk band, and I wondered if you could tell us who they are and why you picked them as your mayoral punk band.
Well, the lovely Useless Eaters are fabulous. They're a great bunch of guys. So yeah, it's a group of friends that do punk covers. The bass player Duke is from Wickham. The drummer is from Oxford, and Paul and Jeeves, the singer and guitarist, are from Swindon. And I think I first saw them in the the Nag's Head. That makes me feel really old. I saw them in the Antelope a few years ago, supporting Matt Moon's band. And I just thought they were really good fun. I saw them in the Bellevue. I said to the guys, can I put a bucket on stage? And we collected a good couple of £100, I think, from over a couple of gigs. And so when I became mayor, they became my official mayor's band, because punk, new wave, was indie kind of music in the late 70s, early 80s, was my favorite type of music, and still is. That's why I had so much. That's probably why my A-level results were so bad, because I was having so much fun watching gigs every week. So kids, let that be a lesson to you. But it was just a brilliant time. All my friends were in bands. I just was at gigs every week, and it was just, there was so much live music going on, and people were really encouraged. And we kind of have that in Wickham now to a degree, I think, in that we're all just a little bit older. But the Youth Solicitors and Public Service Announcement are kind of two bands that I would count as friends. They're brilliant. They've helped with so much fundraising. They're just really, really nice guys. And we did Not the Mayor's Ball in the Arts Centre, because obviously at the end of the year, the mayor often has a kind of an official ball. And I thought, crikey, what can I do? Don't get me wrong, it's not that I dislike classical music or chamber music, but I thought, well, I'd like to do something slightly different. So I thought we'd do Not the Mayor's Ball. And it was brilliant. It was at the Arts Centre, which is a wonderful venue, as you know. We had a public service announcement. We had the Youth Solicitors, and we also had Weird Auntie, who had just won Battle of the Bands in Wickham, which was in the March, I think. I can't remember when it was, but it was a few months before. And that there were some fantastic young musicians playing. But as soon as Weird Auntie kind of literally walked on stage, the hairs on the back of my neck went up, and I thought, these are going to be amazing. And they are. They're all fantastic group of young women, 3 young women from local, who are they're all at university now. So I don't know if they're still playing. I think they're doing the odd bit of recording or the odd gigging. So it was really nice because we had 2 kind of established bands, and we had a young band. And Paul, our current mayor, has very nicely agreed that that I can do another Not the Mayor's Ball. So Not the Mayor's Ball 2, which we'll obviously let you know more about later in the year. It's going to be in March, and we're just kind of starting to meet up and organise now. But I wanted to do something that was that raised money but made people feel good, and we kept the ticket prices as low as possible, so that we could do a gig, not lose money, but raise some money as well. So we had a few things, like we had a bring and buy stall. I don't think we did a raffle, but again, people were very generous, and it was a brilliant night. It was a wonderful atmosphere. So we're going to repeat it in March. So we'll, as I said, once we've got started to organise that, we'll fill you in. But anything that involves art and music, and especially encouraging young people to do art, music, creative writing. I think we've briefly spoken about that before, because there's so much. I think life is a lot harder for young people than it was in my day, particularly if you wanted to go into one of the arts areas. You know, it is it probably is competitive to get a university place, but you know, I've had conversations with people about what kids are doing at university, and the group of adults I was with was just talking about what their kids are doing and how much money they'll earn. And I thought, well, one of my daughters is just about to go to university. She wants to do creative writing. So when is she going to earn money or not? I don't know. But it's her passion. It's what she wants to do. And I think, you know, it's encouraging people to follow their passions and look at the arts, develop these interests. Apart from anything else, it's particularly good, I think, in these days when we are looking at people's mental health, to know that these kind of music, art, whatever, dance, drama, it can be really good. It's a great thing to do. I was involved in the Roundabout Theatre group at the Arts Centre, which actually started during lockdown, and it was fabulous. And we all got on really well. And after a busy day at work, which was stressful, you know, you'd often think, oh, I could just go home and go to bed. But no, actually, I really want to go and do my drama workshop. And it was fabulous. We had such a good facilitator. It was absolutely fantastic. And, you know, anything that really just encourages the creative side of life, I'm well up for.
You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. I'm here in conversation with Annie Baughan, and this is MLN Ensemble with Steady State. That was Steady State by MLN Ensemble. You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to be rejoined in conversation now by this week's guest, who is Councillor Annie Baughan.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask about next. So can you introduce it to us? So it's the Bucks Buxom Belles calendar.
Absolutely.
Who came up with the name? Who came up with the
Bucks-
name actually as well?
I think it was Juliet Hamilton, who a lot of people know as the tired dressmaker, or the lady that used to run Kiss Me Quick Kitch on Victoria Street, on Queen Victoria Road. Sorry, she is amazing. And basically, there was a conversation in the pub, as a lot of our projects seem to start with conversations in pubs, about raising money for breast cancer, because the group of friends who have put this together, we have all had experience of either going through treatment, losing people very close to us, having a scare, and we thought, well, what can we do? And Rachel and Juliet had been thinking about the fantastic Women's Institute calendar, and that was done about 20 years ago. So we thought, well, let's do one ourselves. And we had some different ideas for the names, and I don't know if I can say all of them on the radio, so I won't. But Bucks Buxom Belles seemed to kind of roll off the tongue nicely, and so we got Mark to do the photography, who's a brilliant photographer and a lovely guy. Andy and Dave to also help with videoing. Again, some brilliant venues. So we took some photos in the Arts Centre and outside in the garden. We took some in the front room. I can't remember where else we took them. But yeah, a group of women just getting together and just doing something. We had great fun. And if it raises money, we're just about breaking even now, but obviously we want to sell as many as possible. They're beautiful calendars. They're actually about 15 months, so you get 15 months of Bucks Buxom Belles on your wall for £15, and you can get them via a QR code, or the front room Ruby Moon had some. We're going to be selling them at our launch on the 12th, if this does go out before the 12th, which is at the Mad Squirrel. But also we'll have some at Light Switch On. So the 18th of November, it's a Saturday this year, is the light switch on for the Christmas lights, which will be good fun. So we're going to have a stall in the high street, or wherever we're put. Actually, I haven't seen the map yet, but we'll have a stall with selling our calendars. We obviously won't be topless because it'd be far too cold, but we'll it'd be great fun. We had such a ball doing it, and we're hoping to carry on next year with either Carry On High Wycombe, or we'll do bottoms for bowel cancer. So it's something I would love to do, something every year, so we kind of establish a calendar every year, because people have worked so hard. We all had to kind of think about what we did, think about why we were doing it, which was very moving actually. We have a YouTube channel that Dave Payne put together for us. We've nicknamed it the Boob Tube channel, but if you go into YouTube and you Google go into YouTube and type in Bucks Buxom Belles, you'll get our stories, our individual stories, and some beautiful video footage of us kind of putting the day together. I mean, so many lovely people. It was a really lovely group of friends who just came together and have put something on amazingly. But particularly Juliet and Rachel have worked so hard on it. It's been amazing, absolutely amazing. It's been a privilege to be involved with. And, all I had to do was really take my top off. So it's not something, I mean, it wasn't the most comfortable thing in my life, but I've known Mark for some time. He's a brilliant photographer. It was done very subtly, so those of us who did feel a bit awkward about it, it was very, very nicely done. Very nice atmosphere, good fun. We all kind of drank lots of tea and ate lots of cake as well around it. Did some lovely pictures in the garden of the Arts Centre. In fact, two of the girls had their photo taken in the Arts Centre garden, which is a beautiful place. And there were people leaning out of the flats next door to the Arts Centre, clapping them, which was rather lovely. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing. It's great. So I'm hoping we'll carry on selling them. They are good. They're good quality calendar. So yeah, if we can get a few more sold, it would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Well, a perfect Christmas gift as well. And you said like
Absolutely.
they're in aid of charity, right? So what charity are they in aid of?
Mm. So it's two breast cancer charities, because October has been Breast Cancer Awareness Week. So there's two reasonably well-known breast cancer charities, but absolutely every penny is going to be split between them. Um, we'll hopefully have some more information about the different charities at the launch and at our stall on the lights switch on. So yeah, I mean, and obviously we know that obviously this was all women that came together for this, but some great men that were involved as well. But we appreciate that breast cancer affects men as well, can affect men. But you know, we've all kind of been through that experience of having our yearly mammogram, which isn't the most comfortable thing in the world, or having scares, or having to check our breasts every month for lumps and any changes, and it is kind of one of those things that I think a lot of women just do, but the fear and worry that you go through, or if you've got friends who are fighting cancer, I mean cancer of any type, to be honest,
Yeah.
it is just horrible. You know, it's just the worst thing in the world. And you know, plenty of people I know have been affected by it, who are younger than me, fitter than me, healthier than me, you know. I mean, I'm very kind of aware that it is something that could affect people at any age and stage in their life. So I just think the more research that we can do, the more money we can raise for charity. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've got the Bucks breast unit in Wickham Hospital, which is actually also one of the mayor's chosen charities. So it's all about breasts this year. Paul's raising money for the Bucks breast unit, which again is a fantastic resource. I mean, I go there obviously when I have a mammogram, and it's absolutely fantastic. The staff are gorgeous. They're so nice. Funny enough, I met one of my friends in there that I hadn't seen for, oh well, I had seen for a few years, but we kind of used to see each other regularly. And we were at college together, and I was thinking, and it was so much fun, because I was like, well, yeah, 40 years ago we'd have met up to go down the SU bar kind of over the road and drink cider and eat toasties at lunchtime. And now we're meeting up in Wickham to go and have our mammograms and get our breasts checked for things. So you know, it's great to have friends that have been around for so long, or you know, that I've known for so long. She'll know who she is if she's listening to this. But you know, it's just me taking my top off compared to the journey that some women have been going through, with diagnosis and surgery and waiting and then more surgery, and reconstruction, and which isn't, you know, isn't a walk in the park by any means. It's just, you know, this is the least I can do. And if it makes somebody laugh, or if it makes a good Christmas present, or if it's a novelty, then fabulous. You know, we're be happy to do it. It was great fun. The photos are absolutely beautiful. They've been printed at a very reasonable rate by a local printer as well. And they're absolutely gorgeous. You know, I have got one to put on my wall this year. So Idris Elba and Maine Coon cats will be making their way aside, which are my usual calendars for me and our friends, kind of with our tops off. So, but it's all in very good taste, obviously. So you could give one to your gran, you could give one to your granddad, you could give one to the to your next door neighbour. They're very good. I've got one I presented one to the fire chief of Wickham Fire Station, and I've got one for a lovely gentleman who works up at the RAF station at Walter's Ash, who I'll be seeing on Remembrance Sunday. The lovely Dave, whose wife has recently had a double mastectomy for cancer. And I just think, you know, when you hear people's stories, it's not much to do, you know, to take my top off. Like, I mean, I say it on our video. I work with breastfeeding women. I work with mums who've just given birth every day. So I'm kind of used to having ladies with no tops on in my life. So it's but for some women it was, you know, some of our lovely ladies, it was a bit unusual for them to do. So, you know, hats off to all my lovely fellow Bucks and Belles for being so fabulous.
Yeah. Well, and as you say, I mean, I would describe it as it's sort of Facebook friendly, you know, and I've seen sort of some of the behind the scenes pictures and stuff as well. And yeah, there's just a really nice sort of wholesome vibe about it. So yeah, definitely, you know, it's definitely been a fun project, and the people you've worked on it with as well. You know, you got some of the sort of the most talented people in Wickham, going back to the different creative scenes and whatnot. You know, you've got some really talented people involved.
And Andy was brilliant. Andy Aliff, our Emperor of Wickham's fab, because he was great with props. You know, he was. I was trying to create, when I did mine, without giving too much away, I was trying to create a kind of NHS desk. So in my area I work in, so I had a pile of knitted boobs, I had an empty coffee cup, I had a water bottle, I had a pile of books, I had a pile of black pens, and actually I don't think you can see it, but I was wearing a pair of scrubs that I often wear if I'm doing a feeding support shift, and a kind of navy blue hoodie on the back of my chair. But so it was, you know, so we all did something connected with our passions or our work. And it's made it a really fun thing to do, you know, just to think about what we're doing. When we had so we did a reveal of the photographs, and I think there are some photos on Facebook. The mayor came along, and we put we couldn't do we didn't have a ribbon for Paul to cut, so we made a chain of bras for him.
Yeah,
so it was the first time the Wickham mayor had to unclip a bra chain, which was good fun. And it was great. We were at the Mad Squirrel, and we're there again on the 12th, and it was just a really nice day, you know, with a serious message, but absolutely brilliant afternoon we had there. And so as I said, we're doing the evening launch on the 12th, if this goes out in time. If not, we'll be there at the light switch on the 18th of November. So it's usually a Thursday, but this year it's a Saturday.
Awesome. Well, and that brings me nicely on to, I just want to end on really what's next for you, and where can people you know, follow you to find out more?
So we've got a Facebook page, Bucks Buxom Belles. I'm on Facebook as Annie Baughan, or but probably best to go to we've got flyers around as well, actually. HMV had some flyers. There are various flyers all around, where there's a QR code. I don't understand how QR codes work. They're kind of magic portals. So it's a magic portal that you could buy the calendar, or if you contact us, we're getting some more printed. So we can do it for cash or card, whatever is easier. So yeah, we'll kind of keep posting, we'll keep ramping up, but I would definitely encourage people to look at the YouTube channel, because that's been put together beautifully. It's got some gorgeous shots, some gorgeous films in it, and listening to the stories of the women that took part, it's actually very moving, because there's women that have experienced cancer, there's women that have had cancer scares, and you know, you kind of go to the doctor and you think, oh my gosh, this, that and the other, and with the best will in the world, those few weeks of waiting is the worst time. It's absolutely the worst time ever. And you know, I am really proud of our NHS. It's an absolutely amazing organisation, and the people that work for it do work incredibly hard. So, you know, thank goodness we've got it. And I can't remember what the question was. Oh yes, so the calendar, that's where sorry, I told you I had to go a bit James Joyce.
It's all right. No, love it.
we love a bit of Dubliners. But yeah, so absolutely. We've got it in the we've got our QR codes. We can get it via Facebook. Ruby Moon did have a few copies. I don't know if they've sold them yet. The front room. So go to Ruby Moon and buy some lovely things, and you could pick up one of our flyers. Then head down to the front room and get a coffee. And I think Lauren's got some calendars and some flyers there. But or just Facebook us. Follow the Buxom Babes on Bells. Bucks Buxom Belles on Facebook or the YouTube channel, and yeah, do come down on the 12th or the 18th, where we'll have some for sale. We'll even sign them if you want us to, which would be very much fun.
Big thank you to Annie Baughan for joining me. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Fabulous Parfait with their latest release, Crocodile.
Crocodile, mon gentil crocodile, épargne-moi les larmes sur les forages qui assèchent ton étang. Crocodile, trop mignon en exil, si seulement il restait un peu de verre sur la terre de tes parents. Sa peau t'étiame, son pétrole l'atome. Je me sers de tout ce qu'il faut pour attirer et arracher les cadres bien fringués. Crois vraiment que c'est en protestant que je vais ranger mes fossiles. Crocodile, mais enfin tiens-toi tranquille. Comment veux-tu que je finisse mon shopping s'il ne reste plus rien sur ton île? Stylé. Oh non mais arrête, franchement Crocodile tu me fatigues là. Oh puis y'a plus rien qui marche, y'a plus rien du tout. Oh il fait trop chaud aussi, on crève ici. Tiens c'est quoi Romain? Crocodile, c'est ce que tu fais? Reste, assis, couché, couche panier, Crocodile non!
Walking my way down that dirty old road, and I'm walking my way down, and I lost my soul. I sold my soul for the big bright lights. I signed my name, Lord, and it didn't feel so right. Nobody told me I would pay the price. Oh, yeah. And I sold my soul for fool's paradise. Oh, the big lie. Listen up, he said this. Now time to pay. Ooh, always calling my name. There's no way out of this. This trouble you say. Oh, I played my cards, and there's no one to play. The devil that won my soul in his con game. There's no one to blame. Walking my way down that dirty old road. I'm walking my way down that I don't wanna go. I'm walking my way down for something I owe. I'm walking my way down and I don't wanna go. No, that desert road. Walking my way down that dirty old road. Make it go. You know it's time to go. I don't wanna go. No. And I'm walking. And you know what? You gotta pay the price.
That was Walking by Glenda Benavides, and before that we had Crocodile by Fabulous Parfait. You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to head over to the Oak Shed now to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review.
West Side Story. I found the double LP version of Bernstein's recording of West Side Story with Kiri Takanawa and Jose Carreras in the British Heart Foundation charity shop in Wickham for £2. It seems to be in very good condition. Somewhere I have the cassettes and somewhere is my all-time favourite song, especially the Tom Waits version, but even the Pet Shop Boys. This album sees Leonard Bernstein claiming it as one of his classical works. It has real opera singers, and it is on the renowned classical music label Deutsche Grammophon. I also have the original cast recording and the original film soundtrack, and I recently watched the new Spielberg version on Disney+. I would recommend all of them. I just love West Side Story. I love the songs, not just Somewhere, but Tonight, I Feel Pretty, One Hand, One Heart, and Maria. I love the America dance routine, the crisscross Latin rhythms, swirling skirts and hand claps and yelps. I love the humour of Officer Krupke, the ballet fighting, the tragic Shakespeare storyline, the jazz rumble mixed in with the operatic minuet in the ballroom gang face-off. I love the way there is a constant musicality based around the tritone, giving everything a distinctive bite. The new film tackles the reasons for the deprivation that leads to the gangs of feckless youths protecting a turf that was being pulled down anyway. The activist part of me is delighted in these changes, but the sceptical old git in me questions the wisdom of even trying to make a fantasy more gritty. I liked the Mary Poppins-ness of the original song and dance routines. Having Latinos playing Latinos is, however, a bit of a no-brainer. The only real artistic criticism I have of the new version is that the song Somewhere is not reprised as Maria grieves over Tony's dead body, while the rival gangs unite to ceremoniously carry him away. Somewhere only occurs once in the new version, sung by Rita Moreno, who played Maria's sister in the original film. In the new film, she is the owner of the diner. Though the diner retains the original name, it is set up to give Marino's character reason to sing that song. I had a bit of a moment when I realised that that was what was happening. West Side Story is the same age as me, and it has probably influenced me as much, if not more, than any of the rock and roll that came out of the same era. The first time it came on TV, I thought I was too cool to get into it. But I was hooked with When You're a Jet, You're a Jet. It was once shown on a public holiday, back in the days when there was only 4 channels. And soon after I saw Blondie at Friars in Aylesbury. The punks in the queue were clicking their fingers like the Sharks and the Jets. They were playing it cool, boy. They were caught up in the whole New Yorkness of the occasion. West Side Story.
Big thank you to Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review. Thank you to Annie Baughan for being this week's guest. Thank you to everyone whose music I've shared. As always, you can find us on Facebook. If you search for The Archer on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. We are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen again, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please do leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. It all helps. And if you want to reach out to me here at the studio, you can drop me an email on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. So I'm going to love you and leave you for another week. This is one last tune. This is Hogarth's Wolf with Poppy. I'll catch you next time.
Chocolate bread, sweet poppy, unconventional, she's so witty. Benevolent love is a gift, forever happy, she's a jolly play, young enough to live day to day, good to touch when the day disappoints. She wears a crown Give me beautiful things, she said, like your soul. Play bear, fill my mornings with sweet bird song, fill my evenings with passionate words. Thrill me with your lust, intoxicate me with your love. For you to me are the skies, the sea, the air, the fire, my work